Good morning, everyone. Today we are here and it's morning, and welcome to the Power Years live with me, Helen Reddy, and I'm so happy to be here again with the fabulous co-host Katarina. Today's topic is one that I think will resonate deeply with so many of you. It's very bold. Thousands are skeptical. Don't be one of them. I believe we have all been there, feeling this uncertainty or skeptical about something new, even when part of us know we are ready for the change. So today we are exploring what really is behind that skepticism and how it can sometimes hold us back from clarity, growth, and success. So, who said this topic? It was actually Katarina, and I love how bold that is. Let's start with this. What inspired you to choose this title, and what kind of skepticism do you see most among other entrepreneurs, Katarina?
Great question. Yes. What inspired me? I get inspired the whole time, Helen. I get wonderful ideas, crazy ideas, and I accept them all. And I write them down on little post it notes. They're all over the place. And I never reject an idea. So one of the ideas was thousands are skeptical. Okay. And yes, people are skeptical and we need to be skeptical. I'm not saying don't be skeptical today because there's so many people who are super, super skilled at marketing and sales, and they'll sell you something and you will get no results. I paid out thousands and thousands of dollars. So for those of you who are skeptical, still be skeptical. But I would also say there are some opportunities that sound too good to be true, and maybe they are really good for you. So give them a chance. I mean, focus on results, but give them a chance. We've all been dumbed down in school. So usually we leave school lost. The NASA research showed us that 98% of children under 6 were creative geniuses by the time they're 12, 12, 14, teenagers, it's down to 12%. And when the same children are adults, down to 2%. So we're all a little lost. It took me 20 years to find out what I do today, but it doesn't have to take you 20 years. So those of you who've joined us, thank you for joining us because you're open-minded.
Yeah, and that's today or in the future. So I have a question for you, Katarina. What makes people skeptical and what is really behind it? I mean, you did mention some, but let's dig a little bit deeper there.
I think it's important, as I said, to be skeptical. What's behind it is fear.
Fear.
We're fearful of not creating the results we want. But if we are clear on who we are, what we're up to, what kind of results we want, then we could be skeptical, but also be open-minded. Is this person, is this coach, or is this consultant somebody who can actually drive my results and get me what I want? And do they actually care about me? Because most people don't. So I understand, people are skeptical because they realize that there's so many. I would say the majority of people out there that I meet, like on a daily basis, they just want to make money. They say they care about your results, but honestly, I don't think so. That's why people are skeptical, because there's so much hype out there. There's so much salesy stuff. There's so much noise out there. We have to be skeptical.
Hmm. That's really interesting. I mean, you brought in fear behind it. And I know that you often talk about how neuroscience and entrepreneurship actually goes hand in hand, something that both scientific and deeply human. Can you share how that combination of neuroscience science and purpose helps people to move from confusion to clarity in just one day?
Yeah, that's a big question. And it's a question I love to answer. Um, Neuroscience is brilliant because if you go deep into your feelings, deep into your past, and you're willing to dig, then you can find your identity. You cannot find your purpose till you find your identity. You've got to know who you are before you know what you're up to. All right? Makes sense? So in neuroscience, we go deep into identity, deep into who are you at your peak? Because it's only when you're at your peak that you can find your purpose, right? But you also need to know your sabotage strategy, what's in the way. So we don't jump straight from, okay, I don't have a purpose. What's my purpose, Katarina? Get me that in 5 minutes. It doesn't happen that way. It's a whole process, it's a whole procedure. And we start with who you are and who you are not, your inauthentic strategy, your sabotage strategy.
So you, no, I'm actually going to go to the next. So you said identity, who you are and who you are not.
Yes.
So explain that who you are and who you are not. But because what if I am that a person that I actually think I am, but I'm actually not? How do I know that?
All right. Good question. Most people have jobs. And when you work for someone else, you actually need to identify with them. I'm not saying you need to become them, but you need to adapt to who they want you to be. And that can be a problem because it may not be aligned with your core values. And your three core values are very, very important. Most people don't know their three core values. So you have to build.
Just to hold you one time there, I have been that. Like when I worked in corporate, I had core values, but I had not identified them. And it took me so long to actually know. And I didn't know, why am I not feeling happy? And why am I not feeling joy? And because they weren't really,
You weren't aligned.
no.
You weren't aligned. Yeah. Your identity wasn't aligned with the core values of the company. And they all have, and it could be money, money, money.
That's what I thought success was. And not really, but really, not just money, but then, you achieve more and you get a higher title and then this and this and this. No.
Yeah. And during that process, Helen, you described it very well. You lose yourself and you actually create an inauthentic identity just to survive in your job. Why? Because if you were really you at your peak, they wouldn't hire you. Why? Because you don't fit in with their values. They'd say, no, we're not interested. But if if you create this inauthentic identity, then they think, oh well, she's just she's fitting in, and she's aligned with our purpose, with our vision, and that's fine. That's all we care about. Now, is she fulfilled? Is she happy? No, but she's aligned with our core values, and so that's all that matters. So then, Helene, when you leave corporate and you want to become an entrepreneur or a coach, then you have to find your authentic identity because people are not going to believe you if you're inauthentic, right? Makes sense? So we have to identify, it takes a lot of courage to do that. Our even if we haven't been in the corporate world, I was a teacher at one point. I mean, was my identity inauthentic? Yes, because I was in a system that didn't work for me, right? Was I inauthentic as a psychotherapist? Not really. I was actually very successful because it was aligned with my core values, but I wanted to go deeper with people. So we need to find out, who am I not? What is my habit that's sabotaging me? And how does it affect my life, my family, my relationships, and most of all, my relationship to myself? How do I feel about me every day? Because it will sabotage you, and it will sabotage your health as well.
Mm. So then the last question I have, and I think a lot of listener can probably relate to what we have said, being successful on the outside, but maybe still feeling a little bit stuck or disconnected on the inside.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people that even I work with are working, it's all about the outside. And I totally get that, because we're also living in a world today where everything is shown. Our whole life is shown. But is that their life? I mean, even with younger people, they see all these things on Instagram, on TikTok, and this and whatever. Everyone seems so perfect. But is that really what they are living? So let's move into this. Can one day of total clarity really transform your business and life? Because it's not just, I always believe you are your business. We can't, even if I'm working at a company or whatever, that is my business because I am my business. Although sometimes maybe we have put ourselves, well, I'm this person there and I'm this person there. But again, then we are a little bit split, because you have to be, I believe, if you're authentic to yourself, you have to be who you are, whether you're working or your home life. Of course, you will have different, ways maybe of being if you are in a meeting in a boardroom or if you're at a playground. I mean, obviously, that is a little bit different, but maybe we would bring in some playground into the boardroom. Who knows? So you created this entrepreneurial entrepreneurial success blueprint, to help exactly that. So tell us, how can one day of total clarity truly change someone's business and life?
Thank you. Well, my core values changed my life in one day. But first of all, I just want to reflect on what you've just been saying, Helene. It's very, very important. We have to be authentic, whether we're visionaries, marketers, or organizers, especially if you're in sales or marketing. Why? Because people are not going to trust you if you're inauthentic. They are not going to trust you. So I just wanted to say that. It's important because we all have to sell, right? And if we're not authentic, it's not going to happen. All right. So I found my 3 core values in one day. What are my 3 core values? Truth. I have to be in integrity, right? Greatness. What does that mean? Is that arrogant to be great? No. It's actually very humble to find the greatness within you and to give it to the world. And that's your driving purpose. Vision, focus, and energy on your next year, 3 years, and 5 years. Can you do it in one day? Yes, because since I found my core values, I can find your identity. I can find your sabotage strategy. Why? Because you have all the answers, but you haven't asked the right question. I've got all the right questions. Why? Because I've asked myself first. And we go deep. So in one day, I ask you questions about your identity, about your sabotage strategy, your inauthentic identity, your habit, the impact of your sabotage strategy, And then we reinvent your success strategy. And then we find your driving purpose. And then we find your 1 year, 3 year, 5 year compelling vision. And we do it all in one day because it stacks identity, purpose, vision. It stacks.
That was a lot. So first I then no
But it was a lot in one. I mean, it's totally life changing in one day. And anybody can do it. Anybody can, as long as you have the energy and the purpose and you want to make an impact in the world, you can do it.
and is there a special age or
No, I do talk to a wonderful father today who is interested in having an entrepreneurial blueprint or success blueprint for his daughters. And one is under 12.
oh wow.
So, and I'm implementing this. We're implementing this in Dubai in schools, eventually for 7-year-olds. So we start at 7, and they have the entrepreneurial journey all the way school.
So will that blueprint change with age and with skills?
Oh yes, we all change, and we change all the time. And our vision gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, having said that, not necessarily, because if you ask a 7-year-old, or a 6-year-old, well, what do you want to be? Well, I want to be an astronaut and a doctor, and I want to learn sign language. This is a true conversation I had with a young Swedish guy out in Värmdö. And I said, well, are you going to do that all at once? And he said, yeah, of course I'm going to do it all at once. So, yeah, we change, visions get greater, and sometimes we don't change our vision, but the vision can change absolutely. So we need to do a new one every 5 years, or not every year, depending on
Every 5 years.
how fast we're changing.
So I mean, obviously, if you start working with someone when they're 7, I mean, what else is possible? Why can't I do 5 things at the same time? Yeah, because, they haven't their creativity hasn't, started going down like you mentioned in
No,
the beginning. So someone who is 7, that's going to help them to do what?
it's going to help them realize who they are. They're not just a number in a classroom of 30. They're not somebody who just sits down and shuts up and listens to the teacher. They're someone who's creating their lives from 7. So if you ask that 7-year-old child, what's your brilliance? They'll say, well, my brilliance is mathematics, and I'm going to work with Elon Musk, and I'm going to create a rocket. Okay. So let's focus on science. Let's focus on mathematics with you. Yeah, fine. A 7-year-old will say that.
Yeah, so that's what they like, and, maybe they haven't listened to their teachers and their parents as much. So let's say they come up in their teens, so let's say 15, and then they are going to go maybe into high school. What's the difference then? Let's say they had not done the blueprint at 7, so they come to you, before they're going to go into high school.
Yeah. For teens, relationship is number 1. They go to school. Why? For each other.
Mm.
The girls want to pass exams. The boys think their teacher should pass their exams for them. No, I'm just exaggerating. But actually, having been a teacher, the girls actually work harder because they know they have to. The boys don't know they have to.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Generally. So, teenagers, by the time you've been in school for, what shall I say, 10 years, and you realize that even though the school says we're preparing you for the future, they are not. That's a lie for most schools. Now, some schools actually prepare you for the future, But the future is technology, technology, technology. And, we need to prepare children to be programmers as well and to work with AI. And they love that. So what happens to teenagers today when they're learning geography, history, math, science, biology, etc., maybe a language or two? They're bored. They're bored and they feel empty, they feel disconnected. And the only thing that matters to them is their mobile phone, their best friend, and what they're going to do at the weekend. And I'm exaggerating, but a lot of them are empty and a lot of them are angry. And a lot of them just want to distract themselves.
So that was the teenager. So let's say now they are, they have gone in, started studying in university. So, they're a little bit older. They're adults. They're becoming young adults.
Yeah.
So how could this blueprint help them then?
Absolutely. Because, as I said, they're probably, even if they're in university, intellectually, academically, very smart, very good memories, but only 2% of them have creative genius. So their imagination, fantasy, creativity is actually very, very low. So an entrepreneurial blueprint consultation can bring back their creative genius.
To what percentage? Well, that's to whatever.
I would say at least 99%.
Wow. In one day from
80% day, because your creative genius is never, never lost. It's just not surfaced. Why? Because no one at school has brought it out. No one said, "Hey, Leanne, what's your creative genius?" And if somebody asked you today, you might say, "Well, I'm good at this and this and this." But you may, when you're at university, you may not know your creative genius. You may not.
Unless maybe you're in the creative field. Maybe then you get to explore that. Or
Yeah, it depends. You might be working with the 2% who are creative geniuses, and you may feel, "My God, I cannot compete with them." And actually, you can't until you brought it out and you know your unique creative genius.
Mm. So now we have gone from the 7-year-old to the teenager to the young adult. Then, what about people who have gone to become a doctor? They became an engineer, they became, a nurse or, an accountant. And there they are, maybe, when they are in their 40s, all of a sudden they're like you said, okay, or they have worked in corporate, in, sales or this. And all of a sudden they're like, is this my life?
Yep. That's a very, very common question. If they even have the honesty to say, is this all there is? Then if they know me, if they know someone like me, if they know an amazing coach, and they can find their creative genius, then they will be fine for the rest of their lives. And they might decide, okay, so I'm a doctor. However, I'm going to do something completely creative. I'm going to find the most natural healing methodology that's possible. Okay, I might have to sell some drugs, some pharmaceuticals. But I'm going to research all the most natural remedies in the world, and I'm going to help my patients. And I'm going to go online. I'm going to go on YouTube. You can be creative in any job you find, as long as you don't hate it. If you hate it, get out. Get out as soon as you can. Take the entrepreneurial blueprint first, of course. And don't leave corporate before you've met Katarina. Don't. Honestly.
And this is very important because there are a lot of people, both younger and older, that want to start their own business. And like you said, have an exit plan. There's nothing that says that you can't, because going from corporate to your own entrepreneurial, like I did, there is so much changes, because when you're in corporate, you focus on one thing that I was, and then I have all these other departments. And where I was, I had a huge budget. So when I became, not first what I did, but when I went into work further on, like I'm doing now, yeah, my website should be like this. Okay, Helen, but maybe you don't have the budget that you had when you worked, in your corporate, because there we had millions. Okay, is that my first thing I should be spending my money on? Millions on a website? Not millions, but even hundred thousands, because that's what I thought. Okay, get a logo, create a website. No, there's so much else you need to do before that. So, like you said, continue wherever you are, and then work with you, know what you're going to, get out, and then start your business if that's what you want to do. Because you said maybe taking that entrepreneurial blueprint, maybe even if you're part of corporate, or in the health industry, or you work as an engineer, maybe then you see, okay, I can actually do this, and maybe you could suggest that to your company or firm you're in. Is that possible?
Hmm. I think, I mean, I could work with HR people, but I think there's a question of um, integrity here, because eventually, I would be helping people to leave corporate, and their bosses won't like that. And, there's a conflict of interest here.
But what I heard you said, even though, because remember, I mean, imagine somebody has spent like 20, I mean, first of all, if you become a doctor, I mean, you spend like 10, maybe more years just to get that education. So, if that doctor then, all of a sudden realize that this is not where I want to be, but maybe not just to throw away all the skills and all the competences you have gained during these years. So what do you say to them?
Well, I would certainly say you have creative genius. Let's find it. There's another point of view as well. Your boss may want to replace you with AI, and a lot of people are frightened of that. And then I've, I would say that your boss could offer you a package, including the severance package, including the entrepreneurial blueprint consultation. That way, you transition from corporate to entrepreneurship in a smooth way. Your boss is happy, you're happy. You don't have to look for another job. You start your own business.
So that was something very good you said in the end, because maybe that's an exit strategy for companies too, to help their employees. I mean, we know that more and more companies have to cut, but maybe, and I still hope that there's always possibility, and you know opening your own entrepreneurial business, or collaborating with others, later on. Because I also, for me, myself, it's, you can do your own business, but why not, like you and I, we can collaborate together, because
Yes.
when our two brains are coming together, and maybe, we can do a little bit more. So what do you want to leave the listeners and the viewers with today before we end?
Yeah, I'd like you to think, if you have a strong identity, a strong, authentic identity. And and if you have, put that in the comment box. Put it, I have a strong identity, or a strong, authentic identity. And if you think, well, I'm not sure of my identity, maybe you could write, I need a strong identity. Because imagine, when you have a strong identity, it doesn't mean to say you control other people, but people then look up to you. You become a leader, you become an influencer for your family, for your children, for the people around you. If you have a weak identity, nobody's going to really listen to you anyway. So, so just admit, to have the courage to say, I have a strong identity, or I I would love to have a strong identity, so that we know.
This has been so insightful, this conversation we have had. And what I love most is that how you remind people that skepticism isn't weakness, it's often just fear, wearing something smarter, of yourself. But when we understand what's underneath, that, then that's when the transformation begins. Because we all have that inside of us. And for everyone that is watching, if today's topic sparked something in you, you can connect with Katarina and learn more about the entrepreneurial successful blueprint, and have a consultation with her. And, even if you don't want to change your career, just do it, because what else is possible there? You might find something about you that you never knew, no? I mean, they have nothing to lose if they do it, do they?
Absolutely. And in fact, if you like your job, if you love your job, you will thrive even more in your job. You do your job better because of the success blueprint consultation.
So exciting. So thank you so much, Katarina, for sharing your knowledge and your wisdom that you have worked, throughout your life to actually make this gift for others and share it with the world. I'm so grateful that you shared it with us. And thanks to everyone that has been listening today or going to listen in the future.
Thank you so much, Helen. Brilliant, brilliant questions. Thank you.